before going ahead, I'll show you a small video about what is an API, what is the uh, the basic concept of API. So let's see that first. I'm just playing it. All right, I'm playing it now. This will tell you about the basic concept of API, all right?
Connectivity is an amazing thing. By now, we're all used to the instant connectivity that puts the world at our fingertips. From desktops or devices, we can purchase, post, pin, and pick anything, anywhere. We are connected to the world and each other like never before. But how does it happen? How does data get from here to there? How do different devices and applications connect with each other to allow us to place an order, make a reservation, or book a flight with just a few taps or clicks? The unsung hero of our connected world is the Application Programming Interface, or API. It's the engine under the hood and is behind the scenes that we take for granted, but it's what makes possible all the interactivity we've come to expect and rely upon. But exactly what is an API? It's a question everyone asks. Okay, not really, but we're glad you did. The textbook definition goes something like this. In computer programming, an application programming interface, API, is a set of routines, protocols, and tools for building software. An API expresses a software component in terms of its operations, inputs, outputs, and underlying types. Okay. An API is the messenger that takes requests and tells a system what you want to do, and then returns the response back to you. To give you a familiar example, think of an API as a waiter in a restaurant. Imagine you're sitting at the table with a menu of choices to order from, and the kitchen is the part of the system which will prepare your order. What's missing is the critical link to communicate your order to the kitchen and deliver your food back to your table. That's where the waiter, or API, comes in. The waiter is the messenger that takes your request or order and tells the system, in this case the kitchen, what to do, and then delivers the response back to you, in this case, food. Now that we've whetted your appetite, let's apply this to a real API example. You're probably familiar with the process of searching for airline flights online. Just like at a restaurant, you have a menu of options to choose from, a drop-down menu in this case. You choose a departure city and date, a return city and date, cabin class, and other variables. In order to book your flight, you interact with the airline's website to access the airline's database to see if any seats are available on those dates and what the cost might be based on certain variables. But what if you're not using the airline's website, which has direct access to the information? What if you are using an online travel service that aggregates information from many different airlines? The travel service interacts with the airline's API. The API is the interface that, like your helpful waiter, can be asked by that online travel service to get information from the airline system over the internet to book seats, choose meal preferences, or baggage options. It also then takes the airline's response to your request and delivers it right back to the online travel service, which then shows it to you. So now you can see that it's APIs that make it possible for us all to use travel sites. The same goes for all interactions between applications, data, and devices. They all have APIs that allow computers to operate them, and that's what ultimately creates connectivity. So whenever you think of an API, just think of it as your waiter running back and forth between applications, databases, and devices to deliver data and create the connectivity that puts the world at our fingertips. And whenever you think of creating an API, think MuleSoft.
Okay, so people, did we get a little idea what is an API? Yes? Yeah. So basically, the API, the main function of API is to create a bridge between the user and the internal system, right? So now there are different tools that we use for API documentation. I have already shared a lot of videos with you people. Just trying to tell you that what are the tools. So see, there is one tool by the name Swagger. Okay, now there is one tool called
creating
Swagger,
the documentation,
which is used for API documentation. So this is again a tool, we name it as Swagger. There are certain features here. Using them, you can do the API documentation. Then we have one more tool called as Postman. So there are so many tools available. Basically, we use these 2-3 tools for API documentation. And we kind of work on it, right? But yes, you should be aware of what an API is. So just have a look on this small video as well. And this is about the entire API documentation thing. So just have a look. So these are certain kinds of API, see, software API, hardware, web API. So depending upon the type, we kind of work on them. Now, these are the tools that we basically use. Swagger, as I told you, then there is a MatClap. So basically all these tools are used for API documentation. So if you download one of these tools and try to use them, it has again kind of same functionality as we have in MS Word. And using them, you can do this documentation. This is the basic structure. We don't have to go into details. Once you will start the documentation, then only you will understand, because these are certain components that we use. So some of them are the coding parts, like the methods, the classes. But then yes, using them, you create the same kind of documentation. So you can create glossary, you can create index, you can create the introduction. I'm just running through it. Rest you can see afterwards as well. So these are certain features like creating, authoring, adding a custom topic, building a project. So these are certain functionalities that are used. See, this is the interface that you see. So once you have this document X loaded on your system, it will show you something like this. And then there are steps that you have to follow to add the project and start working on it. So not going into detail, these are all the steps given. So how do you add a topic? How do you, go ahead and do the add the functions? So everything is given here in detail using this tool. Okay, and then finally you build the entire project. So this is something about the inner functionalities. Okay, so you can just watch it later on, because there are certain things that you'll understand once you watch it carefully. Okay, and then there is
presentation. This is a topic that I love, and I'm so glad that it has a space with.
So I'm not playing all these. I've just told you what the basic is, and then probably you can watch it, and then if you have any doubts, we can come back. Okay. All right, now let's go to the next kind of document that is there with us. So till now we have done the user manuals, API, SDK. We have also discussed about release notes, right? Now there is something called as, when a product is launched, there is one more document that we talk about. It's known MRD. Is it visible, people, now on the screen? Market requirement documentation. Now, market required documentation, any idea, anyone? What is it? Okay, now it is actually a kind of a document which we use before we go ahead and start working on the product. So it's basically the expectation of the customer, the market analysis, all that is written under MRD. So if you have a look here, so it says that MRD is a document that communicates the customer's wants and needs for a product and is often confused with a PRD. Now there is one more document called as PRD. So that's product requirement documentation. Now, what is the difference? PRD describes how a product should be built. So all the information regarding the product will be given in PRD. However, the market analysis, the customer's expectation, all those things will be given in MRD. So MRD basically explains the market opportunity. So these are, again, some types of documents that as a technical writer, you would have to write. Okay, so we should know what is the basic difference between all these. Right now, it says this method allows the PRD to be informed by the findings of the MRD. So how does it go? If you talk about the cycle, first of all, the MRD is prepared. That is the market requirement. Now, based upon the market requirement, we prepare the document called as product requirement. Okay, so MRD gives you as an input to the PRD. And then once the PRD is ready, then we start working on the actual product. So these documents are made before the product is started, they start working on the product. So first of all, they study the MRD. Then according to the customer's need, they prepare a PRD, a plan wherein they talk about everything about the product. And once the PRD is ready, then the actual work on the product is done. So it says it methods allows the PRD to be informed as the findings. It ensures that the team will clearly understand the customer's unmet needs. So anything that a customer is looking for, their expectation for the product, all that will be mentioned in the MRD. And based upon that, we will prepare the product requirement. Okay, now these are some of the steps that you need to follow when you are preparing the market requirement. So first of all is you have to understand what the pains of the customer are. So, how can you tell me, how can you do this? How do we know that, what are the expectations of customers, or where are the fields where they are facing problems? How can we do that as a company? You do the market research, and how do you do it? You actually prepare some Google forms, the review forms. Remember, every site has their reviews, customer reviews. And then we have some survey forms in the form of Google Docs. So those forms, if you click on them, there are certain questions that the customer has to answer. And based upon it, they prepare a kind of analysis that, okay, what are they looking for? So all these things come under data analysis, right? Now, this is also a very upcoming field nowadays. So people do a lot of courses in data analysis as well. So it's nothing but, using advanced AI technologies and softwares. What we do, based upon the inputs that the customer has given me, I will try to form it in a form of a table, or, in a form of a chart, so that I can understand that what are their needs. Right? Then you can analyze and know who your competitors are. So very important. For example, I am planning to launch a dishwasher, for example. So I should know that what already is there in the market. What new can I make? Right? So all that should be mentioned in MRD. You will go ahead, do the research, and then put those things in market requirement. Ascertain to identify what the essence of the product is, that what are they actually looking for in a product. Maybe there are certain feedback from the customer where he says that, okay, I want my dishwasher to clean the glasswares also, not only the steel ones, but also the delicate fragile glasswares. So it should be able to clean them as well. So something like that. So based upon that, then we kind of prepare our product requirement. Then it says craft the main requisites. So what are the main requirements, or the main things that we need for the product? Explain out the nice to have points. So that means, what are the good to know points, right? What are the good features that I can add? Put forth a spreadsheet of the business case. That means you will have to prepare it in a form of a table or in a form of a schedule, so that all the details are comprehensible. People understand it. So these are the essential steps for MRD. Okay. Now there is something called as URD also. So like we have a MRD, then we have a PRD. Now there is something called as user requirement specification. Now, any idea, people, what is the main difference between audience and user? Anything that you understand? So I said that customers, customer expectation and all that is mentioned in MRD. Now here there is one more document which says user requirement. So do you think there is any difference between the audience and the user? Correct. Very true. Now, see, people, the audience could be anyone. They could be the lay person as well, right? They just know how to use this product, but they don't know inside out. Whereas the user will be the person who will actually work on that product, okay? Who, reading your manual, he will understand that, okay, these are the steps I have to follow for the for working on this product. So those are the users. Audience could be anyone, a reader, primary, secondary, any kind of reader could be an audience, but user would be a person who would actually use those steps, implement those steps given, right? So that is why there is a need to write one more document which specifies the user requirement, that what are the needs or what are the important steps that a user should know. Right. So what does it do? It's a document mostly used in software engineering that specifies what the user expects the software to be able to do. So normally, if you are from the software field, there is something called as SRS, software requirement specification. Have you heard of this term? Anyone? Okay. Now, see, whenever there is a requirement of a new software, what do we do? The steps are that, you have to go through the you have to talk to the client, understand his requirement, that what are they looking for in the software. So all those details are put in SRS, the software requirement specification. Are we clear on this? What is SRS? Yes, people? Now, SRS in layman language, we call it as URS as well, URD as well. So user requirement document or software requirement specification are same thing, but in software field, we call it as SRS. So you can say that it's a technical jargon used there. Otherwise, commonly we call it as URD. That means a document which will talk about the user requirement. Okay, so it says that it is also known as URD, and it formulates, it needs to negotiate and realize the technically and economically feasible points. So, you can mention anything in the product PRD, but then I will have to see that what are the feasible points, right? What a user can actually use. So all those things will be given under URD, the user requirement document. Okay, now see, there are certain steps given here. It says that you can write an effective SRS, that is software requirement specification. We also call it as user requirement document. Now, first of all, you will have to create an outline. So remember, whatever documents we have worked till now, we used to create an outline, right? The skeleton, the format. So that's the same thing you will have to do for SRS as well. You will first have to create an an outline, and then you have to work accordingly. Then what you will do? You will start with the purpose. So if you want to prepare the entire online outline, what are the things that I have to do? I have to actually mention the purpose, right? Remember all those W questions: what, why, where, when, and then how it was prepared. So all those has to be answered. Then provide an overview of the product. So now I'll also have to introduce the major things that are there for the product. So I'm trying to just introduce the product here. Then provide the specific requirements. What are the specific requirements for this product? And then you have to get the approval. So starting from the purpose, then heading towards the overview of the product, their requirements, and then finally, once your SRS is approved, then you go ahead and work on other documents. All right. So this is how the URD works. Now, we'll do a small activity here. We'll try to create a URD for a smartphone. So let's say the product is a smartphone and I have to create a URD, that is user requirement document, right? Now, we have understood the basic steps, right? The purpose you need to find. First of all, you have to find the entire outline, right? Now, in that outline, first of all, you have to discover the purpose of the product, then the overview of the product. What are the, the basic introduction? Then you will give the actual specification of the product, and then finally you get the approval. So these are 3-4 steps that you need to follow Okay, so I just got this one first. So this is a release note, people. I don't think I have shown you that day. Yeah. So just have a look. I hope this is visible on the screen. Yeah, okay. Now, when you prepare the release note, what we do in the header, remember the template. So what we do in the header, we can put the logo, we can put the project, the sub project title and all. This is the title page that you have. Then you can give the company's information. Here you will give the file name, the version and everything, because in the release note, the version is very important. And then this is the particular table of content. So first we start with the introduction, then we talk about the release, the compatible products, the upgrades, the new features, any known bugs and limitations if you have. So all that will be covered under this. So this is how we prepare a release note. I hope this one is clear. So this is not a very big document, because we only have certain specific information that has to be shared. So they have given you like a template. So you can just follow this and then prepare your own. So you can have a revision history as well, that what was the version name earlier, and then now what was the date of release, and all that you can give here. Okay, so this is one of the release note samples. Now let me show you the other samples that I have with me. So, okay, there is one more here. This is the PRD. Okay, so just have a look. Okay, I hope this is visible. It says the product requirement document. Yeah, so the first page will be your title page, following with the company name and everything, the logo and all. And this is the major format of your PRD. I hope it is visible, people. So basically, when you talk about the PRD, we have the objective, that is the purpose. Then we have the release information, that when will we release the product and all. The exact features that we were talking about. User flow and design. Now this is something which is the part of the product. So maybe there are certain process or a flow chart that you have to follow. So all that will be given here. Then the analytics, that means the analysis that has been done, that will be given. And finally the future work. So see, it is in the form of a table. So sometimes PRD is prepared just as a form of a table. So if you talk about the objective, it actually has the vision, the goals, the initiatives, and who are the audience for this product. So that's called persona here. Basically you can say target audience. Then when you talk about the release, it has the release name, the date, what this release relates to, so the objective, then milestone, features, some dependencies, all that will be given here. Then you will have the features. So features, we all know what the description, the purpose of the product we'll give. Here we will have the user flow and design, followed by the analytics. Now this is something which again will be given by your client, that whether they need this particular format or they need some other format, right? And then we can have the future work. So this is a kind of a PRD document. Now when we talk about the release note, this is how it looks. So I hope it is visible. In the beginning it is like software release note for the version. So the version name is given. Then there is a general information about the entire software. So the name of the product, the version, the part number, all those things will be given along with date of release. So this is the general information. Then we talk about the product summary. So here they have talked about the product summary. Again, something which you will, okay, from where do you get this product summary? As a technical writer, how will you go ahead and write this, the product summary? Yeah, you will have to consult with the experts, right? With the software developers, with the technicians. So they will provide you the information about the product, and based upon that, you will have to rephrase it and write it here. Okay, these are the related documents that they have been talking about based upon the release note. So basically, for example, for that product, there are certain other versions that are being used. So they will, you will have to give that detail here. Okay, this is kind of a footer that they have put. Everything will be here, the revision, the date, author, and all that. Now, these are the new features, issues resolved, hardware supported. So now the new version which is launched, what are the hardware specification? What is the platform that is supported to it? So all that detail will be given here. Then you will have the installation detail, that how will you go ahead and install this software. Okay, basically all this information you will get from the experts. You just have to put it in the right way. Then contents of the version, the history, everything will be given here. So this is how the software the software release note looks like. Okay, this is a sample for the user manual. Just have a look. So it starts with the introduction. That means who will benefit from. I hope this is visible, people. It says sample user manual. Now, so when we talk about, again, we will have a title page with the company logo and all. Then basically we start with the introduction. User manual also talks about that what will be there in the box. So that means when the customer gets that entire parcel, so what all things will be there, that is also mentioned here. That is called in the box. Then we have the technical specification. Of course, the specification of the entire product will be there. Requirements like, if it is a software or, something which needs some supporting versions of other software that you need. So for example, if you have MS Office 2010, so they tell you that what operating system you should have in your system in order to run this Office version. So all those things will be given here. Then using the device, that means all the information, the guidelines will be given. And getting started means that one by one they will talk. So these are basically different chapters in user manual that are there. So all these information, again, it will change as the product will change, right? And then we have the update details, how you can change passwords, the settings and all that. And finally, the future recommendation. In user manual, we also put something called as FAQs. What is an FAQ, people?
Frequently asked questions.
Right. So what is the why do we need it in the user manual? Why do we need to put FAQs?
The basic questions are already answered and taken care of.
Right. So there could be some questions. Suppose, if I use it above 10 degree or above 180 degree, what will happen? So all those questions regarding the usage of the of the product and all, that can be actually answered in this column, which says frequently asked questions. So FAQ is a very important thing. And it is a part of your user manual. We basically don't put it in other documents, but in user manual, it's a good thing to mention there, so that when the customer goes through it, even on the websites, you will find it, the FAQs, right? Wherein they put the question and they also put the answers, right? So that is the main objective of FAQs. So this is how your PRD, your software release note and user manual looks like. Now there is one more manual, one more kind of document we talked about, that is MRD, right? So again, now this is the format for MRD. Remember we saw for the PRD. Now PRD has the objective, release, features, everything related to the product, whereas MRD actually talks about the market analysis. So see, what are the points here? Executive summary, the vision of the product, target market. So what is the target market? For example, the product that you are launching, who will be the end user? So if there is a dishwasher or a, or any other electronic device which is of higher cost, right? So it will basically be for remote area people, for urban area people, not remote area, right? Because financially people should be above middle class, then only they can afford these kind of products. So that is mentioned on the target market, that who will be the users. Then again, persona means the actual target audience, the market, competitor analysis, again, you will give it in MRD, and the capabilities, and finally the metrics strategy. Metric strategy is nothing but, in terms of data. So they will give you. So this is the competitor analysis. See, all this related to competitions. And then high level capabilities. That means what all can you do, what are the challenges and how you can overcome them. So all that is mentioned here. And this is the pricing. The metric strategies talking about the revenue and the pricing of the product, right? So this is all covered under MRD. Okay, so I hope now we understood what is a PRD, what is an MRD, and what is a URD. Are we clear on this? Any questions for this one?